So Banner meets up with the Avengers. He briefs them on the situation. They determine that the Mind Stone needs to be destroyed, that they cannot safely remove it from Vision's head. Luckily, Steve knows where they are some super geniuses in Wakanda. So they take the team there. Shuri gets to work on the task, leaving the Avengers and the Wakandan military to fend off an enormous invasion as the children of Thanos come for the Mind Stone. So, there's a lot here. Rhodey getting to sort of talk back to Thaddeus Ross, who I was shocked appeared in this. Because
I know, like, so if you've listened to our crossover episodes...
There is a Deadpool, and I thought that our colleagues made a pick for someone who wouldn't even be in this movie, and I thought it was Ross. And then when you told me, I asked you, no spoilers, is everyone even in this? And you said they're either in it or they're mentioned. I was like, fuck me. Because I thought, at best they'll say...
And that was me lying, because they're all in this
motherfucking
movie.
They are all in this movie, that's true. Rhodey in this movie, he bums me out, and it's like... He's telling jokes, like almost every one of his lines is quite funny or heroic, but there's just an underlying sadness as you see this crippled man walking around, and I don't know, maybe it's Don Cheadle who's inherently sad to me, but I don't know.
I very much appreciate that they don't make a thing of him reacting to either Falcon or Vision.
Yeah, I heard some opinions, possibly even on that crossover, that when these two characters come together, it's like, no, like, Vision took a shot, Falcon didn't want to die, he avoided it, and unfortunately War Machine got hit. Like, it's no one's fault, and like they're really pally-pally about it. I was like, good. And everyone who meets up after ostensibly a year, 2 years apart is friendly toward each other, and I actually like that a lot. That Vision is really pleased to see Cap, that Rhodey is really pleased to see Cap.
Yeah, like the core fracture of this group was and still remains to be Tony and Steve.
Yeah.
And that is a bridge that has not been mended yet, and is obviously going to be a bridge that is going to have to be mended in the next movie.
And everyone involved in that fight, like Hawkeye and Black Widow were openly like, we're still friends, right? And no one's heart was fully in that, except those two. So yeah, that's great stuff. We get the reunion of Banner and Natasha, and Falcon getting to say this is awkward. Like,
reunion in quotation marks.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel a deeper conversation may be coming. Did you feel there needed to be a line of expression about the fact that she's blonde? Because in the material heading into it, I was like, this doesn't look good, but it actually looks pretty good in full motion in the final. I expected some kind of line about, oh, you changed your hair, but
I think it's just like Scarlett Johansson just didn't want to go red for this one. I'm more annoyed that we get this scene where Banner only shows up after Ross is like flung away. I'm just like, I want to see that. Like,
is that Banner? Nope, sorry, you're breaking up.
Why are Banner and Ross not having a conversation? Sorry. So obviously, prior to this scene, we get Steve kind of going like, I know a place, and then the like Black Panther kind of like trouble beats.
And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
One of the two songs
credited. I sat there in the credits and I was just like, oh no, they flat out say that that's a different song. Yeah. Like, it's not like, this is not part of the score.
It's the Ludwig drum beats, man. It's good stuff. We get the lines about, when you opened Wakanda's borders, I didn't expect this. The Olympics, maybe a Starbucks. That's all very funny stuff. In a world where this whole half the world dies thing sticks, so many Wakandas just dying would be a very good beat to play, and sort of tapping into the people are not happy with T'Challa. But again, as we said on that podcast, I'm not sure I want that. I think I want a more happy, positive time for T'Challa in that one.
You can tell that this movie was made whilst Black Panther was in production, because if this movie had come out a year after Black Panther, we would get so much more of what goes on here. Like, they made the intelligent choice to set it in Wakanda, but T'Challa, Okoye, and M'Baku, they get very few lines between them. Yeah. And it definitely feels like they saw something was happening with Black Panther, but I don't think they quite realised just how much was happening with Black Panther.
Yeah. And you called the shot, like Vision. We were talking about like, oh, obviously the Soul Stone's in Wakanda, and then you said something like, oh, unless they're taking Vision there to protect him, and it's like, that's pretty close to what is actually happening. So well done, you. Shuri bitch slapping Banner for his lack of intelligence is as close as I think we're going to get to Shuri doing the same to Tony. I'll take it, I guess. I wish she
one of the science bros got showed up. It's
exactly, fine. And it's a thing that Tony and Bruce built together, so it's both of them, really.
I did like the explicit saying that
Yes.
like Vision is a combination of Tony, Banner,
Ultron, the Stone,
Jarvis.
Yeah. I appreciate that as well. It's the closest we've got to establishing what the heck Vision actually is. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's just Jarvis. I was like, well, no, because Jarvis is in some way programmed after Tony, and then it was a good decision. And we also got a lot of nice little moments, like, Bucky meeting up with Cap again, and a new vibranium arm, and all this. I assume vibranium arm. All this stuff, all really good. But in the interest of time, the sense of scale in the huge invasion by the Outriders is insane. I am not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. I don't think. For years I wasn't, and then I watched the first two Hobbits, and I was like, I think I might like Lord of the Rings now, and I keep meaning to rewatch them, and I will see what I think. But
the first two Hobbits made you think that?
Yeah, they were on Netflix, and I was bored on a Friday evening, and I watched one of them, and I was like, I don't hate this. And also,
we need to have words about that.
The game Shadow of Mordor also, and I think anyway, my tastes have changed over time. But the thing that people always harken back to is Lord of the Rings and the scale of some of those battles, and it comes up whenever Game of Thrones do their big scale one. It's personal preference, but to me, this is my favourite massive scale battle scene I think I may have ever seen, and that again may just be recency bias, it may be personal taste that I care about all these characters, and I'm seeing like the Outriders are in the comics and seeing all these designs coming to life. It may be that, but for me the enormity of it, and seeing all the Wakandans just lined up in formation, and Wakanda Forever, and the chanting, and M'Baku turning up and calling Black Panther brother. Oh, so good. So for me, this was incredible. Just trying to build this enormous story that calls back to everything that's happened and make it epic and suitably massive and try to juggle all these characters. But you need something like this where it's just hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people running at each other and fighting.
Yeah, like this is the third act of both Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron on steroids. Like this is not the 6 Avengers versus a load of aliens. This is not the 9 Avengers versus a horde of aliens. This is every superhero we've met who isn't currently off in space coming together along with the army of Wakanda to fight against the army of Thanos. And this isn't my favourite fight in the movie.
No.
Not by a long shot, but they set the stakes sufficiently high for me to be like, and there's enough characters here that I'm looking out for all their little individual beats.
Yeah, and you get a lot of them as well.
Yeah, like it's like I love like when they do the massive panning shot over at the very start, and like Cap and Black Panther are like neck and neck as they sprinting, and then that. As they like pan over, you get like the little flashes of purple as like Panther's using his like kinetic feedback attacks against them. It's just like little nods to like other things that I quite appreciate. But motherfucking Cap. Okay, so T'Challa obviously says, get this man a shield, and they get him the 2 little shields and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel right.
Nah, he needs something he can throw.
He needs something he can throw.
I was expecting the sort of holographic style one they made, the energy shield that they gave him, that I think he could throw in the comics. I was expecting something like that, but...
Yeah, I have a friend saying, like, if this movie's all about Thor getting his hammer back, Avengers 4 better have like some kind of sufficient plot of Cap getting his shield back, because
Shuri built you this.
Yeah, like it's just like I like the 2 like little claw shields that he's got, and he definitely is using them well, but we're missing out.
Cap's adaptive; he will use anything in front of him, but he is at his best with that shield. It's intrinsic to who he is. But it's so good. I love the Outriders. That they're so
killing themselves.
Yes, that they're rabid. You know, these are animals that are just fiercely loyal to what they are told to do, and they will just come and come and come. They're throwing themselves through this shield, and like hundreds of them die. And seeing Okoye be horrified that they're killing themselves, and that what finally works for them really is that they start to swarm around the other side, and T'Challa's like, well, we have to open a bit of the hole because they'll come back. Yeah, that's so. And seeing Proxima Midnight standing on the edge and them going over to sort of treat with them, as it were, before a battle, as is tradition in olden times. I thought that was great, and seeing her stand there and sort of coordinate this attack, and that they tricked them, and luring out the Scarlet Witch only to send in Corvus Glaive to go after Shuri. Shuri better have survived that. I'll just say that right now. So much happens here that it's going to be impossible to hit all the beats. So if you've got anything from before Thor shows up, please say.
The one I want to bring up is Okoye's side eye to Banner when he falls over in the Hulkbuster suit.
Who is this moron? Yeah. Also, saying, why was this one not out here at the beginning?
Just because again, they really knuckle down on Scarlet Witch is a force in this movie.
Yeah. They've always established it as she needs training. She is very powerful. She needs training, and she's clearly gotten it over. Because at the beginning of Age of Ultron, the beginning of Civil War, sorry, they're still clearly babying her a bit and being like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. They don't consider her a full-on Avenger yet. I get the impression that the work that Cap has been doing with this, I'm calling them the Secret Avengers, even if no one else is. I get the sense she's gotten better at what she does.
Yeah, but I think my favourite beat of all this is, and I don't know if it does happen before or after Thor shows up, is that three-way fight against Proxima Midnight with Okoye, Black Widow, and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And I like Okoye and Black Widow sort of side by side, and we almost kind of get a little, hey, respect kind of moment between them that I was hoping would come. But yeah, it's great. And Black Widow, for as little as she's in it, she does some absolute ass kickery as usual. She always has the best sort of fight choreography, I think.
Yeah, but those three together it's just nice to they found the time to do that. Hey, look, we've got the kick-ass women. Now, please, Marvel, give us a female solo movie featuring any one of these three women.
Yes, if you are this scared, do a team-up movie. Anyway,
yeah, Tessa Thompson wants to do a team of women movie. Okay, here's three women right here who we want on this team.
Yep, Shuri, Valkyrie. Yeah, keep going. Anyway, so to rapidly shift gears, Peter and Tony, remember them? Managed to rescue Strange and kill the Ebony Maw before landing on Titan, which is Thanos' destroyed homeworld. They're met by the Guardians, who didn't go off with Thor. An alliance is formed after an initial misunderstanding. And this little group desperately try and fight Thanos when he arrives, but they are defeated. And Strange gives up the Time Stone to save Tony's life, and then Thanos leaves. So, the Russos very much like this beat of Peter calling movies old, because that is fully recycled from this old movie Aliens.
It's not how people his age talk about movies.
Nope. We don't say that. We pretend that we are super into old movies. We don't call them all.
Well, someone made the point on the internet, which is very, very apt, which is that he would make a reference to something else that has referenced aliens. His frame of knowledge would not be the original source material. It would be a funny reference, or a GIF, or a meme, or whatever it is that is wrapped up in this thing. And
or he should be talking about Prometheus or something.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be the sequel to Prometheus that doesn't suck. That is how he would phrase it, rather than
I don't know.
Remember that really old movie? And it's not as egregious as the Star Wars beat in Civil War.
That immediately bleeds into let's build a Death Star.
Yeah. But it's still of course he knows what aliens is.
Yes.
He's a nerdy kid living in the 21st century. He knows what aliens is.
Yes. Peter has his Iron Spider costume at this point, by the way. It's pretty cool.
We get the leg reveal when he saves Strange during the Ebony Maw bit.
Yeah. The cloak is still alive. It's still hit and miss.
I actually thought it was mostly hit in this movie. Because every single time it's being spoken to, it's kind of more about do this job for me. Make sure that Thanos can't close his hand.
True. I do like that they take the time to verbally say that. Don't let him close his fist, because in so many movies like this, it's what's stopping him from just winning? And that still does happen a little bit, because you think about the subsection of powers he has amassed, and it's I feel he doesn't need to actually engage you in a fist fight, but whatever. But I do like that they do have this plan to stop him closing his hand, and then they have this plan to remove the gauntlet with Mantis. When she dropped out of a portal, I was like, oh shit, that's pretty clever. Yeah, I appreciate that they went to those lengths, because a lot of films don't. And speaking about the cloak again, my immediate takeaway from this is, hey, the Russos made a good Doctor Strange movie. Why couldn't Scott Derrickson do that?
Oh, that's harsh.
Well, I also
Doctor Strange is a good movie.
It's not as good as it could have been.
No, this is true. I appreciate that they give Doctor Strange a lot of character. Stuff like him turning to Tony and being like, if you or the kids get in trouble at the same time as the Time Stone's in trouble, I'm protecting the Time Stone.
Yes.
And it's like very much like, you do not matter to me. What matters to me is the big evil purple guy getting a hold of this
and that's
thing.
strange in the comics. He's like an irritating bystander because he has a bigger game to be involved in, and him sitting there meditating and looking at possible futures while they're formulating an intricate plan. And I'm just thinking, like, when he's doing the trippy like Hinduism multiple arms and the clones, and it's a nice, they bring in the Baroque instrumental in the background when he starts doing it, and it's just like, it's a nice callback to the trippiness of Doctor Strange in that movie, and that was my immediate thing. I was like, hey, this is like what I wanted out of Doctor Strange, and I hope I get in a sequel. But yeah, he seems far more powerful, but he's had time, so I guess that makes sense. I liked the beat of, is Footloose still the best movie of all time? It never was.
So there's one beat, and you're going to have to help me here, okay. Where...
Sorry, you who've seen it twice need help with...
Yes, where Star-Lord says something, and just the long take of... Is it when Drax and Mantis say, we're here to take names, or like, we're here to kick names and take ass? And then it cuts to
Tony
Peter
just looking demoralised and Peter not knowing where to look, and just they hold that for over 10 seconds. It feels like, I'm sure it's actually about 6, but
it's so long and it's so good because it's just these two people reacting and just like
while Strange is floating in the background. And immediately after, Mantis had been bouncing up and down, and by doing it in the background, you get to do a joke while also not just being like, "Hey, we're not taking this seriously." I just thought that was pretty funny, like seeing all this. And
again, this is one of the things the movie nails, is that it goes from throwing characters together that you've wanted to see together, and so you do get Tony battling not just with Doctor Strange but also with Peter Quill, which are like, if you're to look at like people who you want to see Tony go to heads with, it's these two, because there's a certain level of like deference to like Cap and Thor, where like they think that they want to be in charge, but they're going to head to head in kind of like very similar ways where they've got like different leadership styles. Whereas this is Strange, Tony Stark, and Peter Quill, who have the biggest fucking egos in the universe, like the three of them, and putting those three in a room together just leads to some really good interactions.
Yeah. I mean, that fight between them when they initially both think the other is working for Thanos does a really good job of establishing the Guardians are on equal footing with these people. Because that's always a difficult thing, because they're off in their own pocket, and it's like, well, Drax is quite a good warrior, Gamora's quite a badass, Groot has some powers, Rocket has weapons, Peter's just a dude, but I guess he's good with a pistol. But they do a really good job of establishing this dude can fucking hang, these guys are kick-ass. I really like Peter being afraid of Mantis because she's a bug lady, like not because of any like physical danger.
I like that we're now getting confused, like because Peter Parker and Peter Quill are in the same scene together.
Okay, Quill and Parker are their new names. I think Tom Holland does a really good job of looking genuinely pleased that he's named an Avenger when Tony canonizes him.
That, and yes, the beats in the trailer of the "Hi, I'm Peter," and then Doctor Strange replying, "I'm Doctor Strange."
Oh, we're using our made up names. And that goes, "I'm Spider-Man," and I feel he does deepen his voice slightly, but they gave away in the trailer the whole, Quill saying that Tony's plans suck, so he's going to come up with one. But still, it's a good interaction.
We still get Drax yawning in the background.
Yes, we do. Oh, they don't do anything that isn't wing it.
Don't call us plucky because we don't know what it means.
Their plan is actually pretty cool. I like the sort of intricacy of it, of them all working together and like, all trying to pull off this gauntlet. And then, so the beat that you...
So I am on record on this podcast of adoring the beat where Star-Lord snaps out at it in Guardians 2 and just shoots the fucking shit out of his dad after he reveals that he killed his mum.
This is better.
I don't know if it's better. I think like, that moment's so at the blue. But I love that they play off that same level of impulsiveness.
Yes. And you wrote an article about Cap. I've written an article about Tony. One of the things I bring up is that it takes only a small thing to push him back to the beginning of his journey. Like, when Happy is attacked in Iron Man 3, he's right back to, oh, hey, here's my address, let's fight. And, you know, it takes little things to push him. And to see him in a position of telling someone else to calm down is a new sort of way for him to go. But then again, it wasn't Pepper that we just found out died, it was Gamora. And I like that it's Nebula that figures it out. I'm stunned she lives through this, by the way. Seeing her, like, you know, in pieces is...
Oh, that was brutal.
Agonizing, and then when she pops her eye out to distract the guy and then, like, kicks his ass and is, like, putting herself back together as she walks, that's all pretty cool. Yeah, but just the way that is played by Peter as a barely conscious Thanos is trying to communicate to him and going at Thanos and fucking it all up for everyone. It's like, well, you're an idiot, but also I get it.
I've seen people say, oh, why is Star-Lord such like an insufferable idiot in this movie? And I mean, like, yes, he is. He's the person that fucks up the plan, like, because they are just about to win before he like punches Thanos repeatedly in the face with the butt of his gun.
Pistol whips him.
Yeah, but it's totally in keeping with the character.
Yeah.
I love that is the reason why he fucks it up. Yeah. And we can quibble about whether or not, like, we think that Gamora and Star-Lord have had enough effort put into their relationship, but
I think you get it from this, like, you know, the conversation they have where she's like, if he takes me, you shoot me, like zombie style, don't let me be turned, almost. I think that's great, and like her asking him to swear on his mother, and even little things like her singing along to the songs earlier, and him shooting her little side glances, like, no, we're not going to do that. When they're like, yeah, we'll steal their ship and stuff. And the kiss is a very sort of earnest one. I think they handled their relationship way better than the sort of romantic tension that has been built previously.
Yes.
Everything with Gamora, generally, better here. And Nebula and Gamora, I think, is well handled, where, you know, they're looking for each other, and it's Nebula being tortured that snaps Gamora, and yeah, I think that's handled well as well. And one of the reasons I hope we get some dialogue from Nebula early in the next movie about Gamora, because we're sort of robbed of it here, where, you know, she's angry, obviously, but there's no...
Yeah, they pivot it entirely onto Quill's reaction.
Yeah, that's a shame. You may be wondering what Thor and the other Guardians have been doing. Well...
Thor, Rocket and Groot.
Yes, they are off to restart
Team Forever.
The Forge of Nidavellir. Nidavellir? Who knows?
That's a made-up word.
There you go. Where they must forge an axe, Stormbreaker, which is capable of summoning the Bifrost, but also of hurting Thanos. Now then, on their way here, we do get some interaction between Rocket and Thor that is really well done. And my immediate observation was, I feel they've spent even more money upgrading the tech for Rocket, because he was doing some facial expressions that I don't think I've seen in the first two movies with him in. It may just be that the material that they're doing just makes it seem that way, but there just seem to be some more nuanced expressions that we didn't have before. And, you know, him saying, right, time to play captain, after he, like, you know, the joking beat of, you must be the captain. Yes, I am the captain. But him sort of showing the growth from, you know, where he learns that lesson about don't be a dick, basically, in Guardians 2, and seeing that he is now capable of this empathy and having a conversation instead of mocking someone. And he gives Thor that eye that has been a recurring plot
It's a different
device.
eye.
Is it?
It is.
Okay. Well, there's been things with Rocket and eyes. And,
There have been things that Rocket has got an eye in the last two movies, but this is a different eye because he won it in a poker game.
Yes.
Didn't steal it from prison. Wasn't given it by Groot.
That's true. Okay, yeah. Their little conversation, I think, is really well done. And you know, Thor crying about all of his losses, and the shocking reveal that Heimdall's his best friend. Fuck you, Warriors 3. Fuck you, Sif.
I love that thing, because obviously there was that meme that was going around beforehand, which
Yes.
was like Thor shows up and like he's basically comparing how shit his life has been.
Turn that into sort of a comedy beat with him and Peter trying to one-up each other, and then they turn it into this genuinely emotional moment. It's like, so we kind of got both.
Yeah, Peter's like, oh, I killed my dad, and then you get this moment where it's just like, everyone I love is dead.
Yup.
And are you up for this? I don't think that beat works without Thor Ragnarok.
No.
Because I do think that movie went a hell of a long way to humanising Chris Hemsworth. Like, I feel like that movie has unlocked something about his performance, and like, if I'm going through a list of who this movie's MVPs are, after Thanos and Gamora, Thor is like solidly number 3, and then it might even be Rocket at number 4, because I think the interactions between those two are just joyous.
Yeah. I mean,
like
we've got a Rocket that is not obnoxiously difficult, and I think that's It was funny, but I'm glad we're over this, if we are.
Yeah. This corner of the movie, like, they do literally do what they do in Age of Ultron, where they send Thor off on, like, a little mission elsewhere.
Yeah, but it's a cool adventure.
Yeah, but it's a cool adventure, and it has payoff, and he's got Rocket and Groot with him. And
I like that he speaks Groot.
It's an elective.
In this made-up place.
Oh, now I'm excited to get to one of my favourite jokes in the entire movie.
Is it that Peter Dinklage plays a dwarf, but one that is enormous? Because he's clear. Oh, okay. Peter Dinklage plays Eitri, who is a giant dwarf, essentially. It would not be Peter Dinklage if he didn't have an inconsistent accent. Just do one, man. Like, he goes from, like, I don't know, he goes from, like, Tyrion to trying to do a bad impression of a Scotsman or something. It's all over the place, but I thought that was pretty fun that he wasn't just a dwarf. He restarts the forge, they build an axe instead of a hammer. At one point I thought Groot was going to be the handle instead of breaking off just his arm to make it the handle, so, you know, good. Because if we'd had my buddy's in that hammer, don't you let anything happen to it, I would have been like, what? I also like that Thor has to one-up Steve, who bicep curled a helicopter, by sort of doing a double sort of flex to keep the iris open. I thought that can't have been by accident. Yeah, all of that, it's like, okay, I guess this is all necessary.
So the name of the hammer is Stormbreaker.
Yes.
Which is a reference to Beta Ray Bill's hammer that he's given by Odin in the comic books in Walter Simonson's run, which is nice little callback. But the design is 100% the ultimate version of the hammer, which is, oh god, that is a wonderful, wonderful piece of design work, and I love that they've gone for that. That's one of my favourite little comic notes in this, is that, like, Thor gets the ultimate version of the hammer, which is...
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, this Stormbreaker can summon the Bifrost, and Thor uses this ability to bring himself, Rocket, and Groot right into the middle of the fray in Wakanda to save a whole bunch of people, and they turn the tide of the battle. The Avengers kill the remaining members of the Black Order and are kicking ass. Unfortunately, Vision is forced to enter the field before the Mind Stone can be safely removed. Thanos shows up after having kicked the asses of Tony et al. Scarlet Witch reluctantly destroys the Mind Stone, which kills Vision, but because Thanos now has the Time Stone, we reverse that one, and he takes it and kills Vision again. Part of me wishes they played the Immigrant Song when Stormbreaker emerged from that portal, and, you know, for however briefly. I mean, I know we've done this joke twice, but I just think that would have been really cool, seeing him show up and just whip an ass to that.
I love that they've decided that, like, oh no, he's the god of thunder. We need to have some motherfucking lightning or whatever he, like, powers up now. Because previously it's been, like, a smattering, or, like, it's appeared every so often. Yeah. But, like, Thor Ragnarok made it like, no, he's going to be covered in lightning bolts. And it's going to be, like...
activating God mode. And I love that he leaps into the air, goes all blue, and just brings it down and just wipes out tons of these goddamn things. You've had a haircut. Oh, I see you're copying my beard. Great stuff.
Like, it's been a long miss, and then one of my favourite comedic beats in the movie, oh, this is my friend Tree.
I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers, also pretty good. Rocket admiring Bucky's gun and then the arm. It's like, oh, I'm going to get that arm. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, Rocket is a little pervert collecting people's body parts.
Yeah, those three characters coming down inject so much energy into the fight scene on Earth. Because obviously, like, what's going off on Titan with Thanos, the Guardians, and the Avengers that are up there, that's the make it or break it scene at that point. Like, obviously, like, we're invested in, like, whether or not Vision's going to get the Mind or Vision's going to have the Mind Stone taken. But Thanos is up there fighting these characters, and I feel it doesn't, like, properly kick off here until, like, Thor shows up.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout all this, you know, we've got Banner and the Hulkbuster. That's cute. It's a good way to simulate the Hulk. I think a lot of the speculation going into it was like, why is Hulk wearing the Hulkbuster? That doesn't seem to really add anything. But instead, it's this.
I mean, if you look, they edited it out of the trailer. The money shot of the trailer is all the Avengers running out of the forest with the Hulk in the background. Yes. That shot is not in the movie at all.
Also, in our Ragnarok episode, I raised the question, isn't there a shot of Hulk standing with the other Revengers on the bridge? That did exist, and that is not in the movie. So, just to answer that. Vision and Wanda, like, he's asked her, like, 3 times at this point, please kill me. And it's sort of like, okay, I get it. please do it, Wanda. And she finally does, as Thanos turns up and just mops the floor with everyone, just flinging them aside with his various powers, choosing not to kill them, but, why not? And we get that shot from the trailers that people were losing their minds over, of Steve holding back the gauntlet, only to just get beat down with the other hand. I thought it was pretty fun. I think they also edited out how many Infinity Stones he had in that shot.
Yeah, he's only got 2
yes.
in every single scene they go into this, when really he's got 5.
Yes. I really like the final execution of her destroying that stone, as she, she's holding Thanos off with one hand and looking him in the eye. And I don't know if they both say "I love you," but
he definitely does. I don't think she does.
Okay, well you feel it anyway, and I like that. When Vision was first made, he was fiercely loyal to Tony in some way. It's certainly in Civil War, he does everything Tony asks, but you get the sense that over the course of time and being with Wanda, much like Vision in the more recent comics, he's starting to develop a sense of not just a machine, like a person. And I love that he now identifies so strongly with Cap and we don't trade lives, Captain, and stuff like that. I just thought that was all really well done.
I'm genuinely shocked because obviously the relationship between Vision and Scarlet Witch is a big part of the comic books, and is a big part of what Scarlet Witch's more recent storylines have been about. I did not think that they would be able to make this relationship seem realistic, but I'm genuinely impressed that Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have been able to pull it off and make it feel like it is something that is real. I don't think it's by any means the best romantic pairing in the MCU. It's no Hayley Atwell and Chris Evans, it's no Gwyneth Paltrow and Robert Downey Jr., but
I feel some of the stuff they planted in Civil War worked really well. Their little conversations about their powers and the food and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was good. I like that she calls him Viz as well. It's goofy, but it humanises him.
They have chemistry, and they do make it before that scene where everyone gets dusted. It is the emotional crux of this kind of final section is, will she kill him or not? And then
Thanos just takes it away. That's pretty savage and does raise some questions about other things he could do with that stone. But, at this point, he's got it. So Thor almost kills him. You've kind of forgotten about Thor. You're like, oh no, this is the last moment. And then down he comes, throws Stormbreaker through his chest.
Yeah. Thanos has just flung off all the other Avengers, and then we get this.
Yes. But Thanos succeeds. I don't think he actually clicks, but he does something with the gauntlet, and half the universe is destroyed. Or half the universe's population die. He teleports away to watch the sunrise.
So I want to ask you, obviously, in the build-up to this scene, we've just seen all the Avengers get beaten down. Vision's had, the stone pulled out of his head.
Yeah.
Tony's been stabbed.
Yeah, I thought Tony was dead in that stab. I was like, oh shit, they've done it now.
All these different things are happening. So we're going into this final scene where we've had a movie which has got a high death toll with Loki, Heimdall, Gamora, Vision at this point. Tony's on death's door, but presumably he's going to be able to survive based on what Doctor Strange does. Did you see any of what was happening next going to be coming?
No, I really didn't. I didn't think he would. I don't know how I saw it going, because I know this is, famously what he does when he gets the gauntlet. And I guess you can't really cock tease people with, when he gets this gauntlet, he can do this, and then not have him assemble it. But I still didn't see it coming to this extent. And, to see so many name characters bite it was pretty insane. In some ways, it's not unlike No More Mutants, in that a convenient number of, famous people survive this thing that supposedly wipes out so many people. But then again, a bunch of major people bite it, killing Star-Lord and Spider-Man and the Black Panther and Groot. It's oh shit, okay. Yeah, it's kind of cute that both Tony and Steve survive it, but I think what you were saying at the beginning about we're going to get this core team, it's Tony, you and I, we have some fucking problems, but given what just has happened, we got to get the band back together. It's quite an extreme thing, and for the final shot of the movie to be, isn't it, Thanos smiling? And then
it's Thanos smiling as he gets to watch the sunrise.
To a grateful universe.
Again, it's Thanos wins.
Yeah, and that's
no matter what happens, he's got a busted arm because the Infinity Gauntlet has crumbled based on what happened. Gamora asks him, "Was it worth it?" And you have to imagine that.
So this little scene, how did you interpret that? Is that just a thing that happened in his mind? Is this some kind of them sort of splitting the difference with stuff like the Living Tribunal and Marvel's version of God. Is this just his own mental process? Is it? I don't know. Is it like part
I think that is inside the Soul Stone. I think that is Gamora's soul inside the Soul Stone.
Yes, because I didn't bring this up earlier, but like a key part of the Soul Stone compared to the others is things can live in it, and you can sort of go within it as well and sort of communicate. So I think you're right there. I think that but then if it's broken,
well, I don't know if it's broken. I just think that like he's had to pay a bigger price to do what he's done. Like he has gone above and beyond what these stones could normally do, and whether or not that's a personal price he's paid, or whether or not there's something else that needs to be revealed here, because I feel like there's going to be some kind of like cosmic balancing. Not only has he balanced the universe, but this energy or something has to have come from somewhere. So it might be
the Cancerverse. No.
Yeah, like it might be like in John Hickman's Avengers run, where like the stones break and then the time stone goes missing. That would probably be important.
I mean, like in Zelda, you use the Triforce and then it splits apart. It could be something like that.
Yeah, again, we see all the stones there, but I get the feeling like we are not done with what the stones are. Or
it could potentially be the gauntlet's broken, but the stones still work, so we need a new gauntlet or something like that.
Yeah.
But in a post-credit scene that I cursed it. Maria Hill and Nick Fury are driving around, happy as can be, when all this death starts happening. Maria Hill fades away. Matt says "fuck" out loud. Nick Fury, I'm like, okay, my boy gotta survive this. He also turns to dust, and I go, fuck me, because we just tied the Deadpool. But before Fury dies, we see some sort of very 90s ass looking device, and that is pertinent given the date setting of Captain Marvel. It's saying sending, and then after it's finished sending, the Captain Marvel sort of motif logo appears on screen. Now, Captain Marvel, a very powerful character that they have positioned as prominently as a Thor in comics in terms of her place on the Avengers. However, I'm not quite sure what she's going to do about this, but that's their problem. I do like that Samuel L. Jackson almost drops the MCU's first motherfucker in the film after Aunt May almost used the first F-bomb in Spider-Man Homecoming. But yeah, this is your build. Like, there was speculation about, is she going to appear at the end of this movie? And instead we get this sort of sending and then a logo that, I'm sorry, not a lot of people are going to know. So yeah. I guess this is why they put it at the end, not in the middle.
Well, I mean, I think it's less obvious than, say, the post-credit scene to Iron Man 2 with Thor's hammer. I feel we maybe are at a point where the Captain Marvel comic covers are really iconic. Like, that costume is probably the best piece of costume design that has happened in superheroes in the last 10, 20 years, probably.
She is a full-on badass, and they have rightfully, they've done a really good job of positioning her very prominently.
And so I feel like not many people are going to know what it is, but there were people who were whispering in the cinema after it happened, and they're going, "Oh, it's Captain Marvel! It's Captain Marvel!" So I feel like even if the layman isn't aware, I think they know that someone is coming who is super strong, and the reveal that it's going to be Brie Larson kicking ass in tight spandex is not going to be disappointing.
To me, it's a nod to, obviously, Thanos' primary foes were Adam Warlock, who's not on the table yet, and Captain Marvel, as in the male Captain Marvel, as in Marvel. So
who is in Captain Marvel? So
yes, so maybe he's met Thanos, but either way, her filling that role, I think, is cool. I also like there not being a mid-credits scene. You're really left to just stew in this. Oh, that's it. He smiles. He did it. Fuck. We haven't had a film without a mid-credits scene in a long time.
I do think that ending kind of puts a lot of importance on what Captain Marvel is going to be next year, especially because it's coming out in the Black Panther slot
and close to Avengers 4. So
yeah.
They've got a great actress and we've got a great character, and it seems like they're building a good supporting cast, and they've certainly got a lot of intrigue, and it's going to play directly into Avengers 4. So we did it, Ben. We got through the plot of the movie. I'm
in an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, and change. All right, so miscellaneous cameos. Stephen McFeely is one of Thaddeus Ross's aides in that little scene where he's talking to Rhodey. Stanley is a bus driver. Several of the kids from Homecoming are on the bus when Peter has his spider sense, which, by the way, pretty cool representation of spider sense. But that was in the trailers, so I didn't feel the need to talk about it.
They're just the only one of note of the kids in there.
Yes. So in the collector's vault is a blue Tobias Funke. Is it David Cross or is it?
I don't think it's David Cross.
Well, we've been talking about how the Russos are filling these movies up with references to Community. The other major show they worked on was Arrested Development. They hid a Blues Company stair car in Civil War. They faked us out and went the other way with it. We were like, oh, maybe Gillian Jacobs is going to voice Proxima Midnight, or Jeff Winger is the man in that cloak. Oh, it's the Red Skull. But instead we have, if you look very carefully, a blue man in cut-offs, or just a blue man? I don't know.
Yeah, cut-offs.
Yes, there you go. Ant-Man and Hawkeye are missing from this movie. All the speculation about the special journey Hawkeye's going to go on, I guess all that's happening in the fallout in Avengers 4. They say that these two took a deal because of their families.
Yeah, we've seen Scott the house arrest bracelet put on him in the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're obviously this movie is tying into the time frame between Civil War and Infinity War. Whether or not we do get a post-credit dusting, who knows? I feel like if Marvel do repeat it a second time in the middle just to reinforce how pivotal it's going to be,
they have a small task on their hands of massaging the timeline into place with that movie, because they've said outright Captain Marvel's in the 90s, but this is there's obvious ways to do it, but yeah, they are going to have to very clearly establish straight away this is happening concurrently with the beginning or before it or whatever. But anyway, just name check all these people that die in this movie, because this is a big thing that I think a lot of people are excited for, because they're morbid about, who's gonna die, how many people are gonna die. So non-Thanos magic spell deaths: Heimdall, Loki, Gamora, Vision, and the children of Thanos. And then killed by this magic clicking the fingers thing: Bucky, Black Panther, Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. One of the most heartbreaking of those. Just Matt Waters dropping to his knees. No!
Yeah, I fully expected, if we were going to cry at one of these movies, it was going to be Peter Parker coming into Tony Stark's hands and being I don't want to go.
I have cried in a Marvel movie, and I almost cried when Vision and Scarlet Witch was happening at the end there. Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Groot, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill all killed by the dusting, plus many Wakandans, but not M'Baku. Good. The reason this is pertinent is, if you listen to our crossover episode, we made a bet with the Superhero Pantheon, friends who review many superhero movies, wherein we picked 6 characters each for our podcasts, and whoever had the most correctly predicted deaths would win the Deadpool. If we won, they had to put Iron Man 3 into the Superhero Pantheon, regardless of what negative comments they had to say about it. They had to say this is a Hall of Fame superhero movie. If they won, we had to review the atrocious Catwoman, which they recently gave their lowest score in their podcast. They picked Vision, Thor, Wong, Thaddeus Ross, Nick Fury, Maria Hill. We picked Loki, Captain America, The Collector, Black Widow, Heimdall, and Nebula. Some slight controversy about who wins this, because you don't see the Collector's body. I think he's very clearly dead. I think we have more permanent deaths because all these dustings are going to be reversed.
And the fact that Vision, we don't know what happened with Shuri and Vision's brain yet.
This is true.
There is still
That's as big of an asterisk as not seeing the Collector's body in my mind. But I negotiated with one Jerome Cuson that in the spirit of the bet, because I prefaced the entire bet by saying, well, I think everyone's going to die and it's going to be who survives Avengers 4. But we agreed it's quite a long time to keep track of that bet, so it's who is dead on screen after this movie. So we've just agreed that it's a tie. We both have to do the thing, so look forward to us reviewing Catwoman in the near future. But Iron Man 3 is in the Superhero Pantheon, so
yes,
yay.
Success.
Wide open as to what Marvel do in the future. They're doing a movie that ties directly into what's happening, and they're doing one that is kind of more incidental and then will potentially tie into this as well. I don't even know how to go about predicting Avengers 4, so we won't even, I don't think, do that here, but just, it's quite a bold time for them. Like, they have had a history of announcing all these movies and having so many things coming, and, you know, trailers, and, you know, just as you've got out of the excitement for this movie, here's another one. And right now you're looking at Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, untitled Avengers 4, who knows what beyond that? I mean, we know that Guardians 3 and Spider-Man 2...
Yeah, we know Spider-Man is coming next year. We know Guardians is coming in 2020.
But I mean, you know, in terms of the in-universe narrative, who the fuck knows? And I think just all of this says that I feel they delivered on what people were looking for from this. We got a lot of deaths. It was very epic. Thanos was great. We got a lot of fun character interactions that we hadn't seen before. They balanced everything well. So I personally think they nailed what they were going for with this. If you were looking for something different, then that sucks for you, and you're entitled to that. But for me...
I've seen people online saying, like, this is why I got out of reading superhero comics. I don't like the big event things that grab a load of characters and then don't do the things that I want them to do with the characters, and I think that's completely fair enough.
It is.
But it's not like this movie is coming at the cost of those movies. Like, they are making those smaller character-focused movies to build up to this. Yeah. But you can still, if you really wanted to, just watch Captain America 1 through 3. You can still just watch the Iron Man movies, or Guardians of the Galaxy, or Ant-Man.
Like, you can just skip it if you really want.
Yes, this movie is going to have things that affect the rest of the universe. But that is just the story that they're telling. But
you think of that with Avengers 1, like, they have treated the Battle of New York as a huge thing that keeps coming up, but you're not beaten over the head with it so much that if, like, you didn't like that, I can't imagine it would bother you. So, I mean, this is a much bigger thing, like, you know, half the universe temporarily dying. Hope.
Yeah, like, this is the very definition of, like, how a superhero crossover works. Like, this is one of those, like, line-wide events where every single book that you're reading gets tied into it, and, like, if you're someone who's reading the cool intimate work of, like, the Black Panther comic, and then you get thrown into this for one issue, and then at the end of it Black Panther's dead, you're probably sat there going like,
oh, we've all been annoyed by these things.
Yeah, and I think because they haven't announced Black Panther 2, and I reckon, if anyone, Ryan Coogler's got a lot of sway to basically just shove a lot of this under the rug for a second movie if he really, really wants to. I think these characters are coming back. And
I see no way they're not.
Yeah, and yes, you can be annoyed.
I think there's so many interesting ways you can go with this, even if it is reversed. Why was I picked? Why wasn't this person? That is like, heavy stuff. Did you experience the death? Did you see a heaven or hell? This is all, like, heavy shit they can deal with.
Yeah, and it's got the benefit of, because they went so big with who they picked, they are telegraphing to the audience that this isn't going to stick.
Yeah, and the MCU itself is an experiment we've never seen before. They've proved it works. You know, the team-up movie, the Avengers, they've proved it works. The ongoing continuity-heavy experiment of Civil War, they proved it works. This is, as you said, like a huge summer event thing, a status quo changing thing, all the tie-ins from the event thing. We'll see if this works. I think the money so far says it does. I haven't looked at reviews generally. I think they're positive.
They mostly are positive. A lot of people who I've seen saying negative things are kind of more of like, it's too much.
Yeah,
like it's competent. It's that thing that Disney has become at this point, where it is very assembly line. They know exactly how to get a very particular reaction out of people. Yeah. And obviously, either you appreciate the fact that Disney are making competent blockbuster after competent blockbuster after competent blockbuster, and then there are people who are sat there going like, yes, but we're getting these at the cost of smaller intimate pieces, or like smaller, more intelligent movies. More intelligent in like quotation marks there, because I don't think these movies are dumb, but I do think that they are very breathy. Yeah. Like, this movie is not asking you to think too hard.
No, this is the end of Ben and Matt's Marvellous journey in a lot of ways. Obviously, when Ant-Man and the Wasp come out...
Fucking August!
Yeah, I know. Over here.
A month later than America.
I'm sure they'll bring it out soon.
No, there are posters in movie theatres right now that say August 3rd on them.
God damn it. Okay, well, look, in future when Marvel films come out, we will try and review them. On some level, I kind of feel it's best to let some of them build up, because I think this works effectively when there's more time for us to have more information and think on things. But In theory, any Marvel movie that comes out, I guess we'll podcast review it. At some point, when enough films have come out, we will expand the All Marvel list. But in theory, this is now over, and we do plan to keep podcasting. But what about, I hear you ask? Well, starting Sunday, the 15th of July, we present Countdown to Destruction, which has a question mark at the end, because we will be covering The Leftovers.
Yes!
A show that Ben has spent pretty much every day since we met trying to get me to watch, has told me plot details that I completely don't remember now, and just generally badgering me about it and going on and on about it and bringing up, it's like, oh, this person was in The Leftovers. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Even Jerome Cuson of Superhero Pantheon wanted us, was interested in doing a Leftovers podcast. I have never seen The Leftovers. Ben has seen it a whole bunch. I will watch it for the first time, and episode by episode, well, we'll be doing 2 episodes per one of our episodes. I will react for the first time, not knowing where it leads, and we'll see if some fun comes from that. The reason it's called Countdown to Destruction with a question mark is my tenuous grasp of what the show is about means that I just assume the world ends at the end of this, and the plan that you've laid out with us doing the episodes on this schedule means it will culminate on the 14th of October, which I am told is a significant date in The Leftovers.
So not only is it the date that the event happens, the final episode of the show is set on the 14th of October 2018. Wow. So we are literally ending the podcast when the show ends.
Strong stuff. I am pleased that over the course of Ben and Matt's Marvellous journey, we didn't miss a single date, with the exception of Spider-Man Homecoming that was sort of off schedule, and technically it was on SoundCloud, it was on YouTube, it was on iTunes, but I forgot to publish it on Real World, so it was like a day late or something. But other than that, we met every day. I'm pretty proud of that, because doing podcasts, stuff happens. But this one, it feels like is even more important that we hit the dates, so we'll take our month off and we'll get right back into this with Countdown to Destruction, which I will attempt to say that way every time. Just, if that's annoying you, tough luck. Other than that, so around the last couple of weeks, we've had a hell of a lot of Marvel content to celebrate both the 10-year anniversary and the release of Infinity War. There are rankings. There are lists. There is the All Marvel list in written form. I wrote a ridiculously long article about Tony Stark and how I feel he is the most developed character Marvel have. Ben has written, and at the time of this recording hasn't even published, a piece about Captain America, but it will be up by the time you hear this.
It is a quarter of the length of Matt's piece.
Yeah, well, I get carried away. So yeah, check all of that out. It's all to be found at entertherealworld.com, REEL world.com. Coming up in the near future, you will hear Mike Thomas's voice again, because we are committed to another episode of Mike and Matt's Excellent Adventures, because Deadpool 2 is coming soon, and we can
Deadpool isn't an X-Men.
X-Men tangentially related characters and properties. We reviewed the first one. Yes, Josh Brolin is back as a Marvel-owned property, Cable. There is no chance he's going to be as good as Cable, but we will be reviewing
as
that.
Cable?
As Cable.
Oh,
in his performance as Cable, he will not be as good as he is as Thanos. There you go. I think that's it, Ben. We've had our marvelous journey together, and it's been a great deal of fun. And it's all founded on our shared opinion that, hey, Iron Man 1 isn't as good as you remember it, and Iron Man 3 is super good. But it's led to some wonderful analysis of these movies and picking up on details I didn't notice when I was just some dude who liked these and turned into a guy that analyzes them. So I thank you for going on this journey with me.
Oh shit, I just realised something.
What?
This movie has someone falling from a great height in a very realistic way.
Yes, it does. I can think of no better way to end this episode. Thank you, everyone, for coming on our marvellous journey. We will see you sometime in August for Ant-Man and the Wasp.